Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Fear the Old Lore, Elden Ring Unpatched. Yesterday, we went through the second half of Raya Lucaria and the Ruin-strewn Precipice. There was a lot of lively discussion about the nature of Renala's Great Rune, so it kind of took a lot of time going through that kind of stuff, as well as Placidus Axe. And today, we're just going to be continuing a lot of the NPC stuff as we've finally come into Altus Plateau. We did talk to Melanie yesterday, and she mentioned the stuff about her mother being born at the foot of the Erdtree. Well, not her mother being born there, but being born there from her mother. And her dialogue was a little bit different, so that was kind of a treat. And once again, everybody, welcome back into the stream. So, Complicated Spectrum asked some pretty interesting questions before the stream started. Unfortunately, just with the way my chat's set up right now, I can't see all of it, I don't think. Oh, no, you can see it decently enough. So, a question for me when I'm online, is gold part of the Greater Will? As in, did the beast arrive to put Greater Will back together, or is it invading to claim it for the Greater Will? That's a really good question that I don't think we have an answer to. And anything that I say would be mostly in the realm of speculation. With the ancient dragons having gold in their scales and them potentially pre-existing the Elden Ring, or at the very least the Erdtree, I have wondered whether or not gold was something that was already in the Lands Between that the Elden Beast might have just been trying to siphon away for itself. With that being said, I have considered the idea the gold could just be part of the primeval current, and the Greater Will could just be the collective unconsciousness of everything. And so if that were to be the case, you could still make the argument that gold comes from the Greater Will, but it's a little bit nebulous as to what exactly the Greater Will is. So I think in many FromSoft games, you could just kind of attribute the drive to live, the will to live, as kind of being the collective unconsciousness, or the collective drive behind life. So that could still be present somewhat in Elden Ring, but again, that is just an individual interpretation. And then Complicated Spectrum had a related question. What nourished the Great Tree before the Erdtree burial? As in, what paralleled Mike's blood sacrifices to the Halig Tree? So that's dependent upon if you believe that there is another Great Tree before the Erdtree. So I'm not entirely sure how I feel about that yet. Like I've mentioned before in some of my previous streams, we do have the painting in Stormvale, which doesn't depict an Erdtree, let alone a Great Tree. So if we take that painting as being canon, the Great Tree is distinct from this golden Erdtree. So it might be a little bit of a flawed premise to assume that they're kind of the same. So as to what could have powered it, I mean, it could just be anything. Soil. Who really knows? We do have the Shifra and Ainsel rivers. They could potentially predate the Erdtree. Because I guess one thing that I forgot to talk about with Renala is the little sigils on her robe. So I think it can depict two rivers, and I've wondered if those are supposed to be the Ainsel and Shifra rivers. Let me see. Okay, this should be good enough. So at the very top of it, you have this silver winding looking thing on a field of green and blue. With the free cam, you can really, you can get closer to see it a lot better. It's kind of hard to make out. Okay, that's a bit better. And beneath it, it almost looks like a blazing sun, in a window. So I've wondered if this is supposed to represent the two rivers, and if so, if that's part of a period before the Erdtree. Of course, that is a really big stretch, so you don't have to believe that by any means. But that's just kind of one thing that I thought of. And so, if there was a Great Tree, it could have just been another magic tree. My pet theory is if there was a Great Tree, I think it would have been more like the Helpin, because of a few of the things that we see in the Halig Tree area in Elfile. And also, we do have Helpins existing as kinds of spirit trees, which are a little bit analogous to these incorporeal Erdtree plants, I guess. All right, so everybody else, welcome back to the stream. Nice to see you all again. Conscom, Cantrell, David Mitchell, Vacuous Zealot, Sinister Stromboli, very welcome in. Nice to have you in here. Rat. Painters tend to paint stuff that's not entirely true. Maybe it's a different interpretation of the Erdtree dependent on the painter's beliefs. Yeah, I definitely think that is a possibility, but even if that's a possibility, it is just a little bit strange that it's in Stormvale of all places, and it does depict the Divine Tower, so it would be like half individual interpretation versus like what actually is there. So no matter how you slice it, it's just weird. So that's why I pretty much always try to give the caveat that if this thing is canon versus if it's not. But thanks for that question. Voice of the Old Ones, welcome back in as well. The Young Bracelet. Okay, so now that we've done that, I kind of want to set it to noon just because I think Altus Plateau looks like the best at noon. Although, at least at the PS5 or maybe in 1.0, like the Erdtree do be looking pretty vibrant at night. So, this will actually do, I guess. Let's go talk to our girl Millicent. If only there was a way to like get everything in frame really well and have it actually sound good. David Mitchell said there's a Japanese symbol that's a triangle bisected by a vertical line that's used by school kids to like show a pairing of two kids dating. Looks a lot like that symbol too, trying to find the name. Oh, like the one on Renala's robe? I feel like I would have to see it to know what you're talking about. Okay. All right, so here we go with Millicent.
Ah, we meet again. In truth, it's been smooth sailing for me. The scarlet rot has stilled since last we met. As such, I've been able to continue my journey. Though rather vexingly, I realized that if I still had my sword arm, I could have aided you in battle. Now I'm tracing the path Melania took, after unleashing the power of the Scarlet Rot during her battle with General Radahn in the Caelid Wilds. I should like to meet her. This vanished woman. I think she's in the north, in the lands that lie beyond the Erdtree. Now, she's past.
So this is kind of when Millicent gives us a bit more insight into her goals. She said she was going to go on a journey earlier when we talked to her in like Gowry's shack. Obviously, she's still missing her arm, so the way we progress her quest for now is going to the Shaded Castle and picking up that prosthesis. So before doing that, I do want to head over to the ramparts of Leyndell just to kind of see if we can summon her while she's armless. I don't think we can. I actually don't even remember if we can summon her at all in 1.0 to fight the ancient dragon sentinel tree guy whose name I forget right now. So, yeah. That's pretty much it for now. Was there anything else? I feel like I was going to say something.
She's passed into the...
Oh, yeah. It could be because if the unalloyed gold needle that she got was from Mikola and it had been implanted into Millennia beforehand for Millennia to keep the Scarlet Rot at bay, that might help explain why she suddenly gained a memory and wants to return Millennia her will. It could have come from that unalloyed gold needle, and so I guess it's kind of acting like a compass pointing her where to go, metaphorically speaking. Teen Sith, nice to see you again. Rat and his love of sailors. The Golden Order's trying to redefine the world and humanity. It's hauntingly Lovecraftian, which you like. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, we summoned her from Mukar at the end of last stream, which you had dipped out on. So we did get her at least. We also got Tragoth. So he does actually show up in 1.0. Because I was a little bit curious because there were some other things where, like, it didn't seem like he would. Complicated Spectrum said, talking of Will, headcanon question. Did the Elden Beast take Radigan / the Will of Marika to make his sword? As such, is she an empty vessel, and can we add our ring or will to modify the vessel? Or I guess that's kind of not a question. She is an empty vessel, and we can add our ring or will to modify the vessel. So yeah, I guess that's an interesting way of looking at it. Like, you could look at her stone body as being a literal vessel, but it's weird that she disappears when Ronnie does her thing. Maybe that's kind of part of it, because Ronnie becomes the vessel, or the puppet does. That's kind of weird now that I think about it. But yeah, so I don't know if like the Elden Beast took Radigan's will to make it into a sword, because there is the question of like where Radigan ultimately came from. Was he truly part of Marika's being? Was he implanted into her as like a puppet of the Two Fingers? Those are some of the kinds of unresolved questions we have about her, or him rather. You know, we summoned her last night, Stromboli. So yeah, if you get the prosthesis, that means you've already come to Altus Plateau, and she might not be at that fight. But you could, I think you can venture into some of Altus Plateau, so that might not be like fully it. So we did talk to Raya. We got her pendant down from Blackguard in Liurnia, so we can talk to her again here. She can also spawn, I think, over on the opposite side of the Dectus lift, but I might be misremembering that. Because when I first did my playthrough, I just warped in through the Iron Maiden, I think, so I just kind of skipped where she would show up. You can't give Millicent the prosthesis until she first appears in Altus, even if you preemptively grab it. Okay.
I've been waiting for you. I knew you had the stuff of champions. I hereby invite you to the Volcano Manor. Take my hand and have audience with my mistress.
So we could warp straight into Volcano Manor. We can also refuse for now. I don't know if, like, I'm pretty sure we can just warp whenever, so I'm just going to refuse to see what she says. And if we don't get warped, it's not that big a deal.
Very well. Speak to me again once you are ready. You will find me here.
All right.
I will pray that you follow the same path as Lady Tanith. I hereby invite you to the Volcano Manor. Take my hand and have audience with my mistress.
So it's nighttime. So as soon as we get to this golden aura, that means like the Erdtree leaves are falling. And they're telling us a story, I guess.
Give me your hand. I will pray that you follow the same path as Lady Tanith.
Yeah, and Sinister's right about the Lovecraftian aspect of the like outer gods. It's not that they're indifferent to us. Like, we're just probably not even on their radar. Like, we're probably just like blips, like the equivalent of ants, as he says. Stromboli thinks the gold leaves are a weather condition that gives you bonus runes. Yeah, when you kill enemies with those, you do get bonus runes. So I'm not really interested in talking to anybody in the Volcano Manor quite yet. I just kind of wanted to get the warp point accessible. Because if I join, that'll probably screw up. Patches is kicking me off a cliff, so we'll just kind of avoid that fate for now. Let's go back on over there. Do you think Gwen's better than Marika? Alright. I don't really intend to fight like a lot of the enemies around Altus Plateau. Because, I mean, it's just a little bit time consuming. There might be a few differences here and there, but unless there's like something that we like want to look for specifically later on, I'm not gonna worry about like showing off literally everything in this playthrough. Wait, where am I going? Oh yeah. There it is. So because this is night, we can fight the Knight's Cavalry over here. Maybe I should do that. Because, I mean, I'm just going to stomp them to death, hopefully. Yeah, okay. I don't even remember what this one actually has. Hey, Stella, welcome back into the stream. Oof. Oh man, those just do so much damage for whatever reason. Erdtree Vow. What is this in retail? Sacred Prayer? Alright, now I gotta equip it just to see what sigil pops up. Spectrum says, that makes them question what a demigod or god means in this context. You feel like we see it from the Western perspective. Does Japanese myth have stories where people were elevated, not born as gods? So, yeah, so that's kind of a little bit difficult to contextualize because the term god in English is a bit stronger than like the equivalent of god in Japanese, which like, to say God in the Christian sense, you'd say Kami-sama, with like sama being a way of saying like Lord, so something like way higher than you in terms of like a position. But Kami itself, it can mean God, but it's just kind of like a spiritual essence of something that's typically like pure and whatnot. So, well, gods can be described as kami or Shin with like the Chinese root. It isn't just gods or deities that can be referred to as kami. So like rocks can have kami, grandiose trees can have kami within them, oceans have kami. Thomas Edison has become a kami of electricity, believe it or not. There's like a kami of like studiousness, what's the word, study in Kyoto, like Kitano Tenmangu. So like certain people can embody principles to such a degree that it can make them kami after the fact, if that makes sense. So people can be elevated, but it's not like they become a demigod in and of themselves. And like the English terminology, it's different because of like Shintoism and stuff. And I don't exactly know how like Buddhism deals into that in terms of like the Japanese perspectives, because like there's so many different sects of Buddhism and it's really hard trying to like track where those influences spread because they became so localized within each like region of Japan and like historically tied in. So certain Shinto kami essentially got indoctrinated into like Buddhism, and like there's a whole like Hinduistic type of beliefs, like the four heavenly generals of like the north, east, south, and west, and things like that. So it's Golden Vow in retail, and the Knight Rider drops it. Thank you, Rat. Spectrum says the only parallel you could think of is Hercules. He's made God from demigod. This only adds immortality, but not new powers. So Marika was the same and needed a Godfrey to fight the battles. Just like another note, like in Japanese tradition, like saying mythology might go like a bit too far. Like the emperor is considered like descended from the kami and is divine himself. So there's a lot more nuance to things like that. And she insists that Hercules was deified in some variants of his myth. Yeah, okay. Yeah, and his rat says they're not too different from like Egypt. Oh yeah, I forget Bach follows us. Oh yeah, this is where we need to talk to him. Because This will further on like the mother dialogue for Melina.
Bok the seamster at your service, master. Ready to make adjustments to your garments. Oh, going so soon? Please do be safe on your journeys.
And again, in like the 1.0 version of the game, we don't have night themes, so we can't talk to Melina about him. I wonder if we need something.
Bok the red.
When did she talk about him crying? Like, I'm pretty sure it's when you brought him here, he would say something. Maybe it's when we get to Blaindell proper that it will change. The Pope would be Kami, as the role of the church gave his role of being vicar of God. Pretty much man giving themselves godhood. I don't know. Well, I don't think you could say like the Pope would be a Kami probably until the point after they die. But I mean, I'm also not like super familiar with this. Like, this is an outside perspective. Like, if we had like a native Japanese person here, they might be able to elucidate a bit further than I could for sure. Am I going this way? We have the Perfumer's Grotto. Forgot there's a rune bear up here. Do I want to deal with the Sentinel? Probably not. So I might just go through the gate and up the rampart area. Oh, we have some Miranda flowers over here. Okay. Oh yeah, and the Fallingstar Beast. Despite me saying probably not, I can't resist. Oh, there's a wall here. Alright, one down. Yeah, like the Pope in his role isn't a Kami, but because the Pope is like close to divinity and like serves like higher ideals, after they die, they can kind of be inducted. This is honorary Kami. Kind of like Thomas Edison. Which, that one just kind of always cracks me up that Thomas Edison is a Kami. Especially like with all the stuff relating to him and Tesla. Alright. Erdtree Great Shield, sweet. Shield used by tree sentinels, treated with gold, featuring a delicate design. Skill is magic reversal. So not a whole lot there. This shield is kind of interesting to me because it has like a figure of a random dude that we don't really know of super well. Like, it doesn't really look like Godfrey. But maybe it's supposed to be him. Like, it's just an odd depiction. And is that supposed to be Marika? I don't know. Alright, but before dealing with the Fallingstar Beast, let's go ahead and get the site. Oh yeah, thank you, Malbit. I didn't actually look at the Ashavor. Golden Seed, Golden Seed. And the map of Blaindell Royal Capital. I'll also check that map description, because sometimes they could be a little bit different in this version. Oh, did I say godhood in English Rat? I totally meant like divinity. It's kind of like one of the trappings of like, not, like, I don't want to say translating Kami as like God, but yeah, kind of. Your thoughts on the Empyreans are too much for chat. I feel that. Godfrey was the first demigod, but that doesn't mean he was an Empyrean. Still digging around for Pope lore. It's Muriel, guys. That's why God is dog backwards, right? Oh, okay. Sorry, Rat. It's all good. You guys are popping off. A little bit difficult to keep up. Roman emperors were deified too, and then post-conversion, you get rulers saying they were chosen by God. Gotta have an excuse for why you should be king. Yeah. All right. Ashes of War? Can I just not imbue my own Ashes of War? What the heck? I do have the whetstones, don't I? No, I have the crafting kit too. Is Cantrell. Okay. Alright. I will read the description and then go to the round table hold just because I want to check that thing. So, this is something that comes up quite a bit. It's like the romanization of Leyndell. In Japanese, it's like Rodeiru, which is like Rodale. So it's a little bit strange that they came up with Leyndell. Like, why would George R.R. Martin write Rodale in 1.0 version of the game? So, for Stromboli, I know you're interested in some of the stuff in 1.0 and you haven't been in the other streams. So I'll give you a treat and show you the Limgrave East map description, which is a map of the eastern region of Tenebrae. The domain of Tenebrae, far south of the capital, stands vigil before the vast sea of fog. Radigan's warning is yet told and retold, that one day the Tarnished led into war will cross the Sea of Fog and return for the Elden Ring. So there's quite a few differences in the transliteration of some of these terms. So like Liurnia is Rienier here. Leyndell is Rodale, which is kind of closer to the Japanese. So it could be like Lowdale, potentially. So I assume that there's probably like a legitimate reason why they came to Leyndell. I do feel like they probably work on the etymological roots of the names especially, but I don't know why they came to settle on this specifically. So Teensith is seeing Ho'o as the official translation to Japanese for Pope, and Kyoko-sama is a more vernacular one. So like Ho'o is like law. Well, actually, I might be misremembering my kanji. Let me look that up real quick. Okay. Okay, it is what I thought. So like the first one is like law or rule or like the principles. So like it's like the Lord Governor of the religion essentially, which makes sense. And I don't remember what like Pontiff is in Dark Souls 3 for like Pontiff Sullivan, but technically speaking, like the Pope is a pontiff, and like the pontiff is a chief of a religion. I don't even know this stuff in English. It's it's pretty rough. All right. Okay, so let's go back to the round table hold. Let me hydrate.
Well, we're lots of them about you.
I guess I could put that on a random item rather than needing to use it. Alright. Here I am always trying to like run back to the sites of grace that I just came from. Outerwall Specterwood. That's different. Okay. Oh yeah, and we need to talk to Corhyn to send him to Altus Plateau too. So this is kind of a good thing that we came here.
Ah, you appear to be doing well. Very good. Well then, would you like to learn an incantation? There's something I should mention to you as well. I'm thinking of leaving the Round Table Hold. Do you know of the noble Goldmask? Though he was but a tarnished, living outside the lands between, he was a great scholar who foresaw the coming guidance of grace. And now, I hear he has come to the lands between alone to contemplate the Golden Order. I wish nothing more than to seek his instruction, and perhaps even help him in his research.
So Corhyn's lines here about Goldmask foreseeing the grace is meant more like on an individual basis. Like when we look at the intro cutscene where we see the different tarnished whatnot, like they have the little grace pop up next to them. So Corhyn's saying like Goldmask was able to calculate that his grace would appear apparently. So that's a little bit like iffy in English, but it's slightly clearer in Japanese, I think. So before he goes to Altus Plateau, he has these incantations, and he gets a couple more, but I don't exactly remember what is what. So hopefully we'll figure it out.
May the Golden Order shine through you.
Right, let's go to the other junction point thing. Get the other map fragment, talk to Corhyn, then the Fallingstar Beast. Is there any lore on the plumbing in the sewers? It keeps the poop away from the cities. I mean, it seems like that's where they blocked the Omen and stuff. I feel like it's pretty straightforward, but for whatever reason, the Catacombs are also down there, so maybe it's where they go to fertilize the Erdtree without using souls. Oh yeah, I need to use that one Ash of War that I went through all that trouble to get. Duh. Okay, that still has the Golden Order sigil, so it totally makes sense why they renamed it. It's definitely not the Hailing Tree. That's funny. Demigod in this case may be a title rather than a power level, as in Ranni and Co were made demigods after Radagon and Marika. Yeah, that's kind of how it's written, which is kind of annoying. It would seem like it would be the opposite way. Wait, did he actually mention Goldmask? Oh no, he's further on, isn't he? I totally like walked by Corhyn my first time playing through. Like I picked up the map fragment and everything. He's not this far back. I'll be honest, I zoned out on what Corhyn was saying in the round table hold because I think I was drinking water or something. I don't know. I don't know. Alright, back to the round table hold, see what he says. If he's still there. Teensa says, from her understanding, a demigod is someone directly descended from Marika from a strictly in-game perspective. So there is an item that says they became demigod stepchildren when Marika wed Radagon. I think it was on, maybe not Radagon's set, but something relating to him. And yeah, it is also strange that Godfrey is called a demigod when we have Ania tell us that the demigods are each and all the direct children of Marika. So I think the way we rationalize that is by saying, like, Enya's more or less talking about the Shard Bearers specifically, like the ones we're after, as opposed to Godfrey, who's, presumed to no longer be in the lands between. That place doesn't seem to have good ventilation. Thanks, Spoonbender. Yeah, that could be a good delineation there between Sith, that the Golden Lineage is Godfrey and Marika's descendants, and demigods are just like Marika's descendants. So not all of the golden lineage are... Hold on, let me rephrase that. Not all demigods are part of the golden lineage, but all of the golden lineage are demigods, perhaps?
I had been waiting for your return. I've decided to leave the Round Table Hold. I'm off in search of a noble scholar
There we go.
known as the Goldmask, to beg his instruction. We may not meet again for some time. If there's any incantations you wish to learn, now's the moment.
Yeah, and Teen Sith, like, part of the issue with the whole stepchildren thing is the kanji used for Ratigan marrying Marika, I think, is Gaiseki, and technically speaking, like, the dictionary accurate translation of that in Japanese specifically is a kind of the equivalent of, like, an empress dowager, so, like, the monarch's wife. So, with that being said, like, the literal kanji for that are just outer and then relative. So, it's a little bit hard to parse whether or not it's meant to be read in, like, the dictionary definition kind of way, or if they just do mean, like, an outer member of the family, like a step member, essentially. Somebody also brought up, like, that thing in Discord, and I, like, looked over it once, but I think I was distracted, or, like, I didn't look into it, like, further like I meant to, which is an oops on my part. Because it's one of those weird terms that shows up, like, in Dark Souls 1, because Seath is described as a Gaiseki to Gwyn, so he's considered part of the royal family on the matrilineal side. So, like, if Gwyn had a wife or something like that, or a daughter, Seath would be related to the family from that side, and that's why he's a duke, I guess. I don't know. It's really weird. So, I have wondered with that, like, matrilineal descent portion being, like, a veiled reference to Marika being Ratigan. So when they became demigod stepchildren because they got married, it's because their father is Marika. It's rough. Ronnie's the first character showed in the Marika's Children section in show. Alright, yeah, so Corhyn just talked about Goldmask. He'll be
Order shine through you.
He'll be peacing on out. I did not pay any attention to what he said the first time we just came through here, when I was like, oh, hey guys, it's a good thing we came this way. But now he should be by the map marker, and I'll read that one when we get closer. I wonder if Melina says anything now. No, okay.
Bok, this red. Oh.
I might check the abandoned coffin again, but she shouldn't say anything there. Oh, this one. Map of Altar Plateau and environs. Oh yeah, we also picked up the Altus bloom yesterday, so let's look at that. A succulent plant that mainly grows in high altitudes, material used for crafting items. Somebody asked me about this on the Discord a long time ago. I think it might have been Teen Sith, actually. If it means, like, the succulent style plant. And as far as, like, I looked at the kanji for it, it did seem like, yeah, it does literally mean a succulent. But that being said, I'm not a botanist. Like, I have no idea about this stuff in English and Japanese, so I don't know exactly how accurate that was, but that is at least what the dictionaries said it was. So I think this is just more of a case of, like, mistaken writing than, like, a mistaken translation is essentially what I'm getting at. But On another note, I do believe that the Altus Bloom may have been inspired by the Celosia plants or the Coxcomb. I'll type that into the chat. Celosia, Coxcomb. So Coxcomb comes from like a rooster essentially. So it's a plant that kind of looks like a rooster's head, and hence the comb portion as well. So the reason I bring this plant up is because apparently in Greek, I think the flower name could be akin to, what was it, ember or something like that? Not like fire, but something along those lines. It's a really cool looking plant. I saw some of the Kyoto botanical gardens, and I really liked them there. So when I saw this one in the game, I was like, I wonder if that's supposed to be related. But, well, that's a bit of a stretch on its own. Like, one reason why I wonder about that connection with the fire thing specifically is because Altus blooms can be used in item crafting to create, like, the aromatic spark mists. But aside from that, they just seem to be more like a stimulant than anything else. Complicated Spectrum, thanks for chilling for as long as you have. You have a good one. Appreciate it. The Great Runes call it American Radigan's Union. Okay, I'll probably need to like double check the actual terminology sometime. Oh, thanks, Rat. Oh yeah, and you bring up a good point with like the retail description, how it's said to be a funereal flower in an era long past before the Erdtree grew. That is also very interesting stuff to me because with this being used in funerals in the era before the Erdtree, it does make me wonder if it's supposed to have an implicit connection to Ghostflame, because Deathbirds existed in the time before the Erdtree, and they used fire to rake the bones of the dead, and from like the charred remains, that's where like the hexes came from. I don't necessarily know if like the Altus Bloom flowers are responsible for like those fires that Deathbirds would use or anything like that, but there might also be that kind of connection. And if we do consider the Coxcomb reference, is that also like a veiled reference to Deathbirds? I do think this is like some Pepe Sylvia type territory, but I don't know, like for my like headcanon, I like it. I think it's neat. So, Marge Simpson in chat, I guess. Burning. Thank you, Teen Sith. Kalios. Perhaps. Yeah, and his Sinister Stromboli says the Grey Violets probably have the closest connection to Deathbirds of any flowers. I would agree with that. But I do think it's also interesting that these are like a funereal flower in the time before the Erdtree. So I think they could also be like if there's like the dichotomy or parallel of like life going into death, the Altus flower might be like the life aspect, and the Grey Violet could be like the death aspect of the cycle of rebirth, I guess.
Ah, look who we have here. How delightful to meet a familiar face, even after departing the Round Table Hold. I've been doing some learning of my own since then, actually, and will happily pass it along to you.
So is it just medium heal that's new? I should have probably like tried to remember, although with my streamer brain going on right now, I probably wouldn't have. So yeah. Nothing else. Like I know the darkness two finger stuff didn't come from him, nor did the flame or black flame stuff.
May the Golden Order further study. I can happily.
About the noble Goldmask?
I'm yet to find the noble Goldmask. I suppose he'll be closer to the Erdtree. The path ahead might be perilous, but tread it I shall. Since departing the Round Table Hold, I've come to understand, in my solitude, how little it is I truly know. I'm yet to find the noble Goldmask. I suppose he'll be closer to the path ahead. Since departing the Round... May the Golden...
Alright, so that just kind of shows his fanboyism. I'm going to go on and get the next side of Grace before teleporting back to deal with the Fallingstar Beast. And then we'll do like the Goldmask stuff. Or maybe I should keep the Goldmask and Corhyn stuff together. Yeah, I guess that makes more sense thematically. Alright. Shamboli is of the opinion that deathbirds went around grabbing the cursed and burning them specifically to keep them from spreading said curse. I would disagree with that, and I think part of why I would disagree just kind of like stems from how I think curses are more or less generated in like Japanese folklore and even like Western folklore to a certain degree, where these negative emotions tend to get manifested from like having regrets or just I gave away my last line first. I meant to say like curses get generated through negative emotions like at the end of one's life or just like from like regret and things like that in general. So I think once something dies, especially when we compare it to how we have the branch swords talk about how the heart sings when one draws close to death, and the familiar rancor of like the family head staff thing, where they say like it's essentially like the anger of the family that like keeps the hexes in play. I think that's kind of where they come from. So I feel like once things died, their negative emotions like can stay behind in their bodies for a bit. And since the deathbirds were going around cremating the bodies, the things that couldn't get cremated were those negative emotions, and that's where like the hexes ultimately come from. Corhyn's fun to bully. Cantrell says Radigan took the teachings of the moon and brought them to the sun. Although male is sun and moon feminine, however, the one in control is the greater will and moon instead of their vassals. So a little bit of like administrative note on the idea of the sun being masculine and the moon being feminine. Interestingly enough, that's actually dependent upon like the part of the world you're from. So if I remember correctly, in like more in areas closer to the equator and like more tropical areas, the sun is seen as masculine because it's kind of brutal and overbearing, and the moon is more feminine because it's like gentle and associated with like water and that aspect of life. But in the more extreme climates, like further north and south away from the equator, or temperate climates, I guess, the sun is seen as being more feminine because it gives more life to the land, because it's not as extreme where it will like overexposure to it will straight up kill things. And the moon can be seen as masculine because it can be associated with a bull because of the crescent shape that it goes into. It can be like reminiscent of its horns. So that is a little bit culturally variable, I suppose. Medium heal and lightning fortification. Thank you, Rat. Curse meaning the death hex / ghost flame. Ghost flame torch would imply the opposite in your opinion. Would you care to elaborate, Teen Sith? Okay. So we have this finger reader crone.
You. Oh, bless you. To the east, ruins of gold. To the west, the serpent's sacrilege. Wherever the path leads, so shall you follow. Wherever the path leads, only more sorrow.
is a curse. A curse. The curse of Queen Marika.
All right, ask next, Ben Brennan. Nice to see both of you again. Actually, not Trent Reznor. Nice name change. So, what did Ben ask? Are Radigan and Marika cursed in the same way the other cursed beings are cursed? The scar seal for both reference them being cursed. So it's kind of ironic that we talk to like this finger reader crone now when she talks about the curse of Marika of all things. So it's kind of hard to separate like the dead cursed in terms of like ghost flame and stuff versus the kind of curses mentioned in like Radigan's and Marika's sword seals and all that. So like they're referred to the same way in both like English and Japanese, so this isn't like a translation thing or even like a cultural context thing. This is just more of like a ambiguousness of the writing itself. So I think there's multiple kinds of curses, and generally when I speak of curses in the framework of like Ghost Flame, I'm talking about like negative emotions that stay behind after death. And I'm really stressing like the negative emotions part because as Sinister Stromboli and I like often like to point out, the Baldachin's Blessing, in retail at least, says there in death there can be no sensation. So if something is dead, it doesn't really have like or something truly dead, it doesn't have like emotions to keep it in the world. It will have like passed on. So that's kind of where I look at curses. They're dead, but they're not exactly dead because they're just leftover emotions. They're not alive because they're not spirits per se. And that's like one of the differences between like the death hexes and those who live in death and like spirit ashes. It's kind of hard to parse, I guess. So with that being said, like these kinds of curses are different, and you might be able to think of them more as like commands or like compelling people to do things. But that might also extend to like the fire giant, because he may have been cursed by Marika this way, the same way with like Radigan's sword seal, the scar seals, and potentially even Melina. But to be fair, that's just kind of me rationalizing things, and I'm sure there's plenty of room for other arguments against that as well. All right. Oh yeah, and Hugo's another good example. Thank you. Hoping Shadow the Erdtree releases in the next week or so. So yeah, another thing is like the locations of some of these things are going to be slightly different, but they're not too off in this version. And now we've got one of the Frenzy Flame Nomad merchants over here.
Oh dear. Yeah, I'm terribly sorry. Are you here as a customer?
Stromboli says, you think curses are emotions that can kind of anchor the dead and stop them from passing on? Kind of speculative though. Yeah, I understand where you're coming from with that. Wow. I'm having a moment. I think it's just like part of the dead have to pass on from like being cremated, or at least before times with the death Rite Birds. But now it's kind of hard to know like if things pass. Or well, hold on, let me rephrase that. It's kind of hard to know if things aren't passing on because of like their negative emotions, or if it's an effect of like the rune of death being sealed away. So I think part of what makes Rykard's hexes work with flame in particular is because they can't pass on because of like the rune of death being sealed. But I don't know about that for sure. That's just kind of my speculation as well. So, we can get some bewitching branches from this guy. We should probably read these. A sapling etched with Miquella's ivory gold spell. Craftable item. Charm stabbed enemies, turning them into a temporary ally. So Stromboli, the first time we got Mikola's unalloyed gold needle, it was called Ivory in this version of the game, which is really fascinating and helps establish like why the ivory sickle was a thing, I guess. Lightning Grease. Arrow carved from the Erdtree contains a sacred power. This has the old ancient Erdtree sigil on it, as I call it. So you can buy unlimited golden arrows, unlimited golem great arrows, explosive bolts, lightning bolts, and lightning great bolts. So 1.0 is definitely a lot better for just buying consumable arrows, but Unseen Assassin and the Tomb Shades. So the Tomb Shades, I think, oh yeah, are the reference to the little dudes in the catacombs that you need Roses' light to illuminate.
I must apologise. I'm afraid I've very little to offer.
Alright, so that's pretty much that with the dude over there. Okay. Let's go back to our Fallingstar. Alright. Teen Sith wants you to post a little bit more. I'll read it. Because it looks like you're trying to twit longer, essentially. Maybe after this, I could go to Caelid and kill the Death Poker bird. I whiffed. I'll be honest, I was totally looking at that star call over there, and I was not paying attention to the projectiles this thing shot at me. It's really hard to show it off in like actual live gameplay, but the Fallingstar Beasts do have like a skull on their front, like that's exactly the same as Estelle's face. I should have leveled up too. I had all those runes. Oh, there's a stake there. So they might have like a more explicit connection just because of like the skulls that they share in common. Trent asks, can anyone give them insight into Malekith's remembrance? Marika's sole need of her shadow as a vessel to lock away destined death. Even then she betrayed him. How would/did Marika betray him? That's a very good question. I wonder that myself. Like, I have some ideas, but they're kind of all speculative in nature. It does make it seem like Marika would have had a more complicit role in the Night of the Black Knives and or Rani. And that could tie into the Newman's rune, I think it is, that talks about how no, maybe not the Newman's rune. What is it? There's an item that mentions how it's rumored the Black Knife assassins were close to Marika. Does this thing not bleed? Or am I just like getting poor hits? It's too mobile. Ah. Thought I was going to be out of that. What I thought was going to be a good hit only did 108. I'm hardcore for fighting him this early. I'm pretty sure like my Hoarfrost Stomp can like still work. He still clipped me. I think I rolled slightly too early, but I was just trying to actually get out of it. I rolled. That one was just all me. I'll take credit for getting whomped there. So I must have gotten like super lucky with like the very first stomp that I did on. That was unlucky. Because I thought I did like 400, so I was like, oh yeah, I could just do this guy. It's probably just easier if I do it like normal. He's just stepping out of my range. I'm gonna be a little stubborn until I run out of FP. Like, normally this one I would just deal with on horseback. Okay, yeah, that was better. Oh, I ran out of juice. Oh yeah, I can summon. Okay. So I did get kind of lucky the one time, but I can do that again. Oh, cool grab. Need to mash. Oh no, this is a bad one. But that one was me. I take credit for my pain. I knew that wasn't going to do anything. Okay. Well, that was not very smart. I was not performing well. Okay. I will kill this guy, though, because now I'm angry. Now, let me go back to what Teen Sip was saying. Okay. The sacrificial axe talks about the sacrificial rite with death bird worship. The branchsword talismans discuss having a worthy death to offer up and have the same bird art as the axe. The ghost flames described as being generated from burning the bones of the dead and maintained by death birds as firekeepers. The torch makes explicit that ghost flame is generated from burning the bones of human sacrifices. So in your opinion, death bird as firekeeper equals wants ghost flame to be perpetuated. Let me think about that. So the issue is, I understand your words, I am just not able to process them at this second. Alright, let me not engage the Fallingstar Beast and like actually engage my brain for a second. Right. So, in my mind, I don't see that as like contradicting like curses being left behind emotions embedded within like bodies, essentially. So to me, like burning the bones just kind of like frees those emotions to like go around in the air and whatnot. Does that make sense? Okay, I thought he'd turn around faster. But if I back up this way... I tried to roll forward and that just like didn't move at all. I've gone astronaut. Finally, jeez. Man, I felt that one should have done more damage. So it's like the diving attack is the best one for me to catch. Damn, I just mistimed the crap out of that one. Oh yeah, I did have heals. This is a mistake. Oh. I'm stuck on all these things. Yeah. In case I didn't see it. No, he is immune to bleed and frostbite, but weak to fire and lightning. What, you think I'm gonna change my strat, rat? Alright, Teen Sith, I said the way that I see it is like the negative emotions that people have left in their bodies is still in their bodies even after they die. And for the most part, they'll like pass on like peacefully, but those negative emotions can stay behind. And if they get up to like a certain point, they can become a curse that like the person doesn't let go of and like keeps their spirit in the world essentially. So I think it can still burn the body, and when you burn the body, that would just kind of free those emotions from their pseudo prison vessel to like go into the air and become like normal hexes, if that makes sense. Uh-oh. I didn't pick up my runes. I should have known better than to try that. It's all right. Okay, sweet. Yeah, I'll summon my mimic beforehand, like actually use some strat. To be fair, like, I should have died the first time I summoned the Mimic and it hit me. Like, I was astounded that it didn't count. Oh, it's gonna just turn around and face that one. Okay. Bruh. Oh. That's 4. Hey, Silver Mist. Damn, that's doing work against this thing. I didn't think it would be, like, stationary long enough. Oh, he's hitting the Mimic. For that to be effective. I mean, it also helps that the Mimic literally has, like, infinite FP. Oh. That sucks. That sucks too. I'm scared. Did he like break the Mimic? Is that what that noise was? I thought he was getting like staggered, so that's why I ran into that like a smart guy. Hey look, I dodged an attack. Why is it doing that 4 times? Star Callers, no, they killed my Mimic. Those cheeky bastards. I see the mist is still doing work, but I'm not gonna like rotate my screen that way. Huh. Feel like this is bait. Okay. Fudge. Panic rolled bad. Oh, okay, sweet. He can kill it. What is he charging? I tried rolling. I tried it. I didn't realize I had so many flasks left. Okay, that makes me feel a bit better. Get wrecked. For stealing my runes. Wow, that was kind of worthless in this version of the game. Just my pride. Okay, okay. Hey Katie, welcome back to the stream. Yeah, I've been, you know, been at the top of my game, as they say. Hey Spaghetti, nice to see you. Has it really been an hour? It has, okay. You feel like the Fallingstar was balanced around horse combat? Fighting it on foot is so unwieldy and annoying. Yeah, I agree with that. Dude, fighting the one in the Caelid cave was, hellish. Especially since you can encounter that one so early on. I just, like, full-on noped out of that. I was also, like, trying to poison it and things like that, and I couldn't tell if I was being effective or not, so I just wasted, like, a ton of my, consumables trying to deal with it. Thanks for the GGs. Spectre, nice to see you. He is definitely the best Hans. Alright, so we'll go into Deathbird mode. And this is actually, I think, our first Death Rite Bird of the playthrough. And so you're going to see some different visual effects. I think I, like, glanced at it once on one of the playthroughs or streams, but we didn't actually go in. Fudge, not trying to deal with that, though. So, yeah. As you guys can tell, he has, like, yellowish wings. And he still has, like, all the, like, priests coming out of it. Uh-oh. Like, I was gonna say I need to break its AI so I can see it. But I don't want to be down by the lion. This is bad. Yeah, in retail it has blue particle effects. Another Death Rite Bird. Essentially. Oh, this is a tanky boy. I just panic rolled because of the flaps. I thought I was falling then. I guess that's not really a panic rolled. I just got baited. The crow is weak to fire. Like, what are we supposed to melt their frogs or what? Well, we are in Caelid. Or do you mean like the Death Rite Bird? Or just like the actual crow that I got by? Who or what are these things loyal to? Are they Golden Order, Glowmide Queen related? The Death Rite Birds? Technically they would be vassals of the Twin Bird, whatever that's loyal to. I've wondered if that is supposed to be related to the Glowmide Queen or anything like that, because there's just a lot of unspoken connections between Ghost Flame, Destined Death, and Black Flame. They don't ever really seem to fully pan out, though, which is really annoying. Which is part of why I hate the whole, like, Marika's Radigan thing, because it just kind of, like, legitimizes the tinfoil theories that, like, one thing is another thing is another thing. It's gonna grab. Okay. So these things don't bleed, do they? Oh yeah, so this is gonna be difficult. Why did I try to fight this? So that's the Deathblight Scream, which is the same as the normal Deathbirds can do. I rolled too soon. So I should probably just pull out the Mimic again when I get a chance. Wait. I have too low HP, so once I take a hit, I guess. I rolled. I panic rolled there. I should have gotten clipped, I feel. So one of the other things about the Death Birds is, as I pointed out when I fought like the normal ones, there is like this big crevice in them, which kind of reminds me of what you'd see on the Black Knives. You'd kind of also see on Malekith's blade. It's kind of hard to make out though. I should just go for the that thing rather than just relying on Hoarfrost Stomp on my cheese method. Okay. Probably for the best that I couldn't summon the Mimic right then, to be honest. Oh, that's the big one. That's the big one. I got caught on the rocks, but I lived. Alright, now I should be fine to summon him. Oh no, I'm not by a rebirth monument. Okay, that explains everything. Didn't see the lack of the thing. Oh, I love this attack. It's a real pain in the ass, but it's cool. So the one attack where it like stabs the ground and explodes it, the one that clipped me earlier, is one of the death hexes we can actually get. And it has like 5 projectiles, which might be like reminiscent of 5 fingers. I don't know about that for sure though. Just kind of an observation. No, not that one. It's the other one. Oh yeah, I want to just drink. What a jerk. That one. Not yet. He doesn't have a boss health bar, I just realized. This is it. This is it. This is it. Oh no, no, I'm in fire. I'm in fire. Well, let's just go in for the kill, maybe. By which I mean, let's jump into his attack, I guess. Trying to get some stamina back. That's kind of a good angle for its wound. Ooh. Hell yeah. What a finish. Death's Poker. Ooh-wee. Feels good. Still got it, baby. Is this a spear? I always forget what this is actually classified as. Those are swords. It is a sword? Oh, it's a great sword. Okay. Barbed rod carried by death raptors. Crows serve as the guardians of graveyard fires. It is said that ashen remains are raked out from the brightly burning spirit flames while still alight. Black flame thrust. Performs a thrust attack infused with the flames of death. Additional normal attack input, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So Flames of Death, that kind of makes it sound like the Rune of Death, but they obviously changed things, so it's kind of hard to say how it is all supposed to fit into the retail builds of the game and its lore. I don't have any holy weapons. They have like negative 80 holy defense. I mean, I'm just stubborn. I'm fine with fighting things, but I guess I could have just used this. I don't really have holy weapons. I only have 12 faith, so it's all good. We got it. Ghost Flame Explosion. Thank you, Stromboli. What is the Twin Bird? So it's mentioned in the Twin Bird Kite Shield, which I don't have. I actually don't remember where we picked that up. But it says that the Death Birds are envoys of the Twin Birds, essentially. Or there's another item that talks about it. It might as well be a holy weapon. That's a good point, Rat. KD thinks the Deathbirds are more connected to the Formless Mother than the Gloam-Eyed Queen. Oh, why do you think that, KD? Black Flame Thrust was the name of the skill? Oh, and this one? Let me look at it. Oh, geez. I'm blind. See, this is why it's really annoying that there's, like, the equivalent of the English 1.0 text was just already patched out by the time the game went gold in Japanese. So, I don't know if it's, like, literally the same kind of Black Flame. I mean, obviously they do look similar to the one used by the Godslayers, but this stuff is Ghost Flame and it deals cold damage as opposed to like the physical and fire damage of regular Black Flames. So I've mentioned it before on some of my videos that it might be possible that Ghost Flame and Black Flame could have been merged at one point in the past, and perhaps like Ronnie stealing one half of the Rune of Death is responsible for like the schism, and the two could have been separated, because in this version of the game we will see Malekith using purple Destined Death Flames, but that could just be like a coincidence and not really meant to actually be significant. What are the 15 and 17? That's funny. This is also an extremely strong weapon. Okay, the Altus Deathbird drops it. The Altus one. Trying to remember what the Altus Plateau Deathbird is. I don't really feel like fighting it right now, though, to be honest. So what did we do? We did that. Okay. Oh, I forgot to actually go see Goldmask. You know, keeping everything together. Oh, the little staff confused me. I thought it was like a person way in the background. I was like, is that Corhyn? No. Alright, let's go see Goldmask. Katie said, cold is a mirrored version of blood loss, which is then connected to negative emotions. You're making a script that touches on it now. Okay. It had a different name on each screen. It was Spectral Blast or something like that on the stat screen. Oh, like the quick text. Yeah, that kind of thing is pretty common. I actually don't even remember if quick text is in the retail build. I mean, it might be, but I don't feel like I ever just kind of like noticed it off. Wait, no, I don't see it here. Oh, there's Spectral Flame Blast. I see. When I was talking about like the things, hold on, where is it? I guess I just mean like the item effect for some of these. I guess it's more apparent on armor? No, just like the key items then. Yeah, just the item effect. I've just noticed a bit more in this version of the game. Oh shit! Tally fragment found in the Silver People village. Yeah! I have something to point to that's tangible now. Obviously a reference to Albinaurix. Sweet. Okay, what was I doing? Oh yeah, this teleports you in a different spot. So in retail, it will send you right next to the bridge over here. But for whatever reason, in this version of the game, it sends you like right next to the Windmill Village. Which is good enough for me. May as well pick up the Side of Grace right here. Do I ever do invasions? Not a lot, and at least with this version of the game, I can't invade because I can't go online because I don't have the most recent version of the patch. You suppose a death worth offering to the Death Bird is that of someone who dies while being desperate to survive, like the Fallen Hawk Band. Yeah, that's kind of how I always took it. I may as well pick some items up. Village Windmill Pasture. It is kind of weird that we have like Misbegotten over here doing their thing. I wonder if they're just like raising the village with a Z. Wait, maybe this one isn't here. I kind of feel like it isn't here on this version of the game. Yeah. That's sad. So no Celebrant Skull here. Just like there's no Ice Rind Hatchet in Liurnia. Wait, what was tangible, Katie? In... I need my 200 runes, apparently. It is weird to me that there's so many like burning corpses here. I do also like the fact that like they kind of can't die. I mean, obviously they kill themselves here, but like the fact that they've just like been burning in perpetuity up until like we show up, they're just kind of a nightmare fuel. That one had red eyes. Or maybe it's because it's night. Are these demi-humans? Wait, I don't remember that in retail. Although I don't... No, I fought these like a decent amount because of fire, and maybe I just didn't pay attention. Might have just killed them quickly. So cool that it like... chews its wrist. Wait, I should get hit by that blood. I wonder if it causes hemorrhage or if it's like blood flame. Because that'd be some really cool stuff to know, wouldn't it? They have red eyes no matter what. Okay, yeah, maybe it's like just when you get close to them, they frenzy. Of course, it's not doing it now. Even the combat music ran out of steam. They do have red eyes in retail, just not always, you think, but you've seen it pretty often. Okay. I need to get further away? Alright. We can do that. I wonder if they have like a certain amount of FP. twin knight swords, plus the navy cloak and noble set. I guess I could just show that off at the actual village. Wait, what's in her left hand? Looks like a bone knife or something like that. Let's back up. Hey, we got the leaves going on. So weird that she's not doing it now. Or whatever. I tried. So these little ladies' cloaks kind of also fascinate me, like the blue ones. Because it's kind of a unique design. With them, like, skinning people, there would be, like, the implicit connection to the Godskins. Especially since we have the Godskin Apostle show up in the Windmill Village. But it's kind of weird, like, how close it is to Leyndell and everything. And there's not a ton to go along with that. Well, let's check out our hood and the noble sets. A hooded cloak of vivid azure, worn by expatriated royalty. Given to those endowed with a quest, setting out alone to enact a great deed in a remote land never to return. More often than not, however, these quests were merely stratagems designed to remove undesirables from court. It's raining now. Holy crap. Armor fashioned from metallic white silk thread, worn by expatriated royalty. Though soft and pleasingly smooth to the touch, this armor demonstrates ample resistance to magic. A gift of such rare beauty, a young royal wouldn't even disgrace his royal heritage if found dead in a ditch in the middle of nowhere wearing such splendid raiment. So, not a whole lot to build off that. But we did pick up the twin knight sword. An attractive twin blade of fine make that prizes the chivalric way. Can be wielded with a single hand, but its true strength is unlocked with the dual-handed spinning attacks. Okay. You think the ladies have been skinned? It's kind of hard to say because, like, they don't look that different from, like, the commoners and whatnot. Or do you mean, like, the blue ones specifically? Like, they should be skinned as, like, part of the ritual? They're all going crazy. The Wicker Man vibes. Did you hear they're, like, remastering that? Like, in 4K? It's crazy. I mean, obviously, like, the film isn't the real origin of the Wicker Man story. Yeah, anyway. They're inspired by the film Midsummer. Well, it's not just a film. Like, that was a thing. Oh, yeah, as you say. Which itself is inspired by a Swedish solstice holy day. Thank you. The fact that the special woman in the celebration wears blue has weird connotations with the blue dancer. You think they may have all have had their teeth fully exposed? Like the Fallen Hawks? I'm not sure I'm following with the teeth. Alright, so we got Goldmask looking at the minor Erdtree, which is in front of the big Erdtree that we can't see right now. Dragonwind Grease. So he doesn't say anything. The voice actor for this is Ryan Morris, the English localizer of the game, they say. Alright, going back to the whole, like, ancient highway thing that I keep harping on. This is the same one, essentially. And it's on this broken bridge that spans across the Altus Plateau. So we don't know why it's broken. And it would have connected it to like where the nomadic merchant is. So it does make sense that like the portal takes us over here in the retail build of the game, because it's like, oh, they just like made a workaround for the broken bridge. But it could just been an artifact of the shattering that it's broken. But we're kind of like missing it. It's not that big a deal, but... Alright. We finally talked to Goldmask, so let's go back and see Corhyn. And then after that, we'll probably go visit Yura and then fight Margit2, Golden Boogaloo. The breathing is not in the final version? Oh, I'm pretty sure it's there. And also, welcome to the stream, Gwyn. Goldmask will not shut up. I ran past Corhyn. Too busy picking flowers.
Ah, you appear to be doing well. Very good. Well then, would you like to learn an incantation? Do you sport with me? From your description, it can be no other than the Goldmask himself. Of course, I knew he would be close by. Bless the Golden Order and its benevolent rays, and to you too, my sincerest thanks. May the Golden Order shine through you.
Alright, that much is pretty obvious. May as well teleport back over here, though. He's probably the smartest person in the game. He communicates with the greater will and wins a debate. I don't know if he, like, communicates with it so much as he, like, divines things. It is kind of questionable if he's even, like, reading the will of the greater will so much as, like, the Two Fingers. I don't know. Golden Order is literally everything but benevolent. It's totally benevolent for a certain group of people. Oh yeah, I forgot about those dudes. Oh, are we saying like these dudes were skinned? Yeah, because I think that's definitely the case. Or did you mean the ladies too? Oh, fudge. Trying to get into it. They did too much damage. Is it these ones that do it? Oh, the other one may have not had enough health to do the attacks. No, maybe they didn't hurt themselves. There would have been like the corpses exploding. Never mind. Maybe it's linked. I don't know. I was like, why did the music change? And then I forgot, like, night to day. I think that just did bleed damage, but it's kind of hard to tell because I also took a hit right then. Celebrant's Hatchet. Sickle decorated with flowers and colored fabrics. Ceremonial tool used by dancers during the festivities of Dominion Windmill Village. Crafted from human bone. Yeah, it's benevolent if you're born, right? $20 says it ends up the same way as Goldmask's ending. I would not take that bet. Blood Mist? Yeah. I was hoping I'd like get one of their armor or weapons. It took me a really long time to farm like one of the aristocrat hats.
We meet yet again. Thanks to you, I have become acquainted with the noble Goldmask himself, and taken my place by his side, as you can see. Have no fear. I will still teach you incantations as before, though we must do so quietly, such that we not disturb the great master's cogitation.
So we did get another incantation because there's one black missing here. Rejection, I think, is new. Oh no, it's Discus of Light, isn't it? Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure it's this. Light Ring slices enemy before returning to caster. Obviously, like, there's going to be tons of spell descriptions which are lacking in comparison to retail. I'm pretty sure this is the one that Mikola gave to Radigan in the retail build of the game. But I could be misremembering because there's 3 of them total.
Further study of incantation. The master is always deep in contemplation, while I frantically attempt to record his wisdom, the movement of his finger. And though I am yet to comprehend even the daintiest morsel of his wisdom, I know that this is my life's calling. The Golden Order has bestowed me, talentless as I am, the great duty of documentarian.
Don't worry, Stella. He balances out cogitation with duty. The $5 words.
May the Golden Order shine.
Yeah, so that's kind of where we learn how Goldmask communicates. Like, we can kind of see it. It doesn't look like he's moving a lot, but he's doing a lot of work. Tons of work. It's all in the breath. Demon Slayer mode. Right, so Stromboli said Millicent also passes through the village, meaning a millennia may have been brought there on the way back. I don't know about being brought there on the way back. The way that I like to rationalize it, and it's a little bit unfortunate that it just turned into like a cloudy day over here, is that when the Windmill Village is the closest place in the lands between, well, it's in like the Altus Plateau area to where you can see like the Erdtree from. Okay, sweet, it cleared up. So to me, it makes the most sense that like before she realizes she would need to go through Lane Dell, she thought she could probably like just keep following it in a direct line, and so it'd probably take her to like towards the snowfield, but there's a big old gap there, and she needs to head that way. First it was the clouds ruining everything, now it's the sun. So yeah, you can see a super low res model of the Erdtree. Kind of looks like the Two Fingers from this angle, now that I think about it. Like, I don't really believe that, it's just kind of a wild thought. Dominula is on a very high point in the landscape, so it is a good observation point. Yeah, that's just my take on it, but definitely room for argument. He's the original sun breather? No, that's definitely Solaire. Yeah, she said she's retracing her steps, but I think like there's limits to what she's doing, because Like, it's not like Dominion really connects in that way. Like, it could have been changed during the shattering and stuff. But even that is a little bit suspect because Millennia would have fought Godric and Radahn after or during the shattering, technically. And it's not like it connects into the Halig Tree any significant way. And if any of these demigods are really smart, they would just fast travel to their destinations. Right? Right, so Goldmask. I guess next we'd really just have Yura. There is no NPC over there in like the Vari questline. Because we can't do Vari's questline essentially. So do I want to go this way or not? Could go this way. There is the Erdtree over there. Just don't really like it down over there. I think there's also a side of grace around here. Oh no, this isn't the right spot for it. Oh well. We have the Mirage Tower. I would almost do it, except I don't really think there's much incentive because, what, it'd just be like a memory stone? So I'm not going to worry about that too much. Got the worm faces. And this is the only spot these things show up outside of like Farum Azula, if I'm remembering correctly. So it does make me wonder, idly, if like there's a possibility that Farum Azula could have been in this vicinity. But it doesn't really seem to work out for like multiple reasons. Like with the Farum Great Bridge being in Caelid, the trees and stuff being different between Lanedell and here. Yeah. More working on instinct than somehow knowing the exact path. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel with Millicent stuff. So it shouldn't be a surprise, but this tombstone probably doesn't work like all of the other ones in this build of the game. Can I do Vari's questline if you do the invasions from Yura's quest in this build? No. It does need like a proper thing, but I mean we can do the Volcano Manor stuff and see if it works out, but I'm pretty confident it doesn't. Adjust Unseen Form and the Unseen Blade spells? Okay, I might actually go there then. Second Church of Marika. I was gonna kill the dog, but then I realized it's kind of more of a footage thing, and I don't really need to worry about him. Bunch of blood roses in here. We get another flask because it's an actual church, and Yura is in some pretty dire straits. Yura Riri. So you can kill him here as well as after the Ravenmount assassin, and he'll still get possessed by Shabriri for whatever reason. So, anyway.
Eleanora. It seems I am no match for you, but I've learned a thing or two myself. You see, I've sliced the finger off. Please. Please, Eleanora. Yield to the cesspool no longer. Do not stain the immaculacy of your sword. Your flesh. Your fire.
But this what happened. I drank water and then I made all this talk. Try not to like gurgle the water into the mic and stuff. Okay. So, anyway, Eleanora pops in. Yura talks about cutting off the violet finger. And when we look at his model, he still has 10 fingers on his hands, although some are clipping through the floor. Woo, maybe they're gone. But I think it's more likely he's talking about cutting off Eleanor's finger, and he wants her to be free of like the evil blood's grip on her. When we look at Eleanor's model, she still has all 10 of her fingers and all that. So that's what I would say is like a concession of lore to gameplay mechanics. The devs just don't want to like mess around with the models, I guess. But did you guys hear me talk during the fight at all? Probably not. Damn it. Anyway, I was also said like Eleanora doesn't use any of the blood flame spells at all. She only ever uses the dragon roars. And alright, thank you, Teen Sith. You have a good one. No, I forgot when I muted myself exactly. Oh, it was probably when he was talking. Yeah, that makes sense. That's when I try to like take a sip of water off the cuff. Yeah, she has the crystal that helps beat Moog. So what I was saying was, he cuts off the finger. He makes Eleanora try to get rid of the blood stuff. But it is questionable if she's consumed by like the Moog brand of evil blood, or if it's just more a Land of Reeds type thing, where it's just like the blood goes bad because of like their lust and yearning for it, I guess. But we do get the purifying crystal, and that helps us stand on an evil footing or equal footing with Moog. But oof, feel bad for just muting myself for all that. We also picked up her pole blade. So let's go ahead and read that. Twin Naginata forged in the Land of Reeds. Chosen weapon of Eleanora, violet bloody finger. Her mastery of the sword was such that her onslaught was likened to a whirlwind, but now her legacy is stained by accursed blood. Blood-clad slash? Blood blade dance. Okay. So as I mentioned in my gold and silver video, I do think it's just a property of the blood to kind of form into like these blood blades type things, like when you get enough of it together. So I don't know if like blood flame is completely endemic to Moog, or if it's something that can just happen through the blood in general because of the Land of Reeds. Because obviously Okina does pledge himself to Moog to some degree. So you could make the argument that Rivers of Blood works that way as well. But Eleanora is a little bit of a strange case. She could be an adherent of Moog. She doesn't kind of like feel that way though, especially without using any of the like Moog type incantations. But yeah, I don't know. You don't remember the polearm and you beat her for sure? Oh no, she definitely drops it if you beat her here. Not that you fight her anywhere else really, but yeah. Alright. We do have the Mirage Rise over there in the distance, so may as well go back over that way. Are those all the worm faces making that noise? Or just the mirages? Thanks, Torrent. I don't know if that fall is lethal. So that's like the Rhea Lucarian sigil. Yeah, that's definitely a worm face. And we also have like cemeteries even in Altus Plateau, which we will see more of as we go towards Lindell. And because the worm face is like crying near a grave, it definitely makes it seem like they were once humans at some point. What do we do with this? Touch Phantom. It's honestly been a long time since I've done the Mirage Tower stuff. Because I don't remember where they're all at. Touch 3 Phantom Crests, Mirage Riddle. It's not like the third one on the opposite side of the tower. Yeah, the sticks that they hold are weird. Just the worm faces in general are strange. And yeah, as I've mentioned before, like throughout the lands between, we do have like these tombstones coming out of the walls, and that's made me wonder if like multiple shattering level events have like happened and just like caused the lands to just get shifted in such a way that like they're no longer right side up sometimes. Because I don't exactly think it would be convenient for a civilization to just put their grave markers on the sides of like cliff sides. Not unthinkable, mind you, but that's just not how it feels here. I already did this one. May as well rest though. One's near the bridge, hidden under the illusion. Okay. Thank you, Katie. They remind you of wilted sunflowers. Interesting. Oh, like wait, no, I'd be right there. At least this gives me an excuse to come under this bridge. So one of the cooler things about this bridge in particular is we get like some slugs drop down and they spit this kind of mist. Although I thought it looked different on retail. Why was this mist important? Is it because it was silver? Yeah, so these things can also drop like strips of white flesh. But I'm pretty sure like getting hit by this thing would slow you on retail. But if we look at these kinds of slugs more closely, you can see that it looks like they have like a bunch of worms or something kind of growing in them. And these kind of worms can also appear on like the rotting corpses that appear throughout the lands betweens, the ones that are not those who live in death. So like the rotted boys all in Caelid have these kinds of like worms in them, and that's just kind of like the base model, but a bit more red. So there's like multiple types of undead in the lands between. It's kind of wild here. You think the Shattering Wars happened many times? Each time the form of the Greater Will's control changed, the ring is just one form? You think they're sky burials? Live slug review. Yeah. We gotta look for lore in all of the places. Alright, now I gotta find the last illusion. Oh. I was confused by my own glowstone for a second. I was like, why is it all glowy? And you said it was under the bridge, right? Wait, what is it fighting? The Langdale dudes? Pretty sure that's right. Oh yeah, I forgot that these things can death blight. They're like one of the only things that can, other than like basilisks and death birds. Yeah, I don't really want to stand in the death blight mist, believe it or not. So I'm just gonna stomp. Langdale Soldier Gauntlets. I might need to look it up or just leave it alone for now. The thing. Okay, there it is. I just have to, you know, express doubt. Then things will come naturally. Thanks again for the tip, Katie. Where are we going? Oh no, I found it. I mean, obviously stream delay, but it was under a rock. Mirage Glintstone Rise? That's so... Are these textures just super messed up? It's kind of funny. Holy crap. Talk about your Mirage. So yeah, as I've pointed out in pretty much all of these other Glintstone Rises, we have the kind of Corhyn statue appearing in them again. Big surprise. There are like some paintings of like the random lookout towers, but they're not like that important. Least bug thing in 1.0. Ponyboy only said that they reminded you of sunflowers because they have a gold related description. Bruh. Hey, there we go. This is trippy. Conceal armament? Conceal presence. Okay. And a moon egg. Alright, yeah, I'm just gonna get out of there. Alright, so we're gonna go back into the rampart, and I'm gonna show you guys some of my one of my favorite differences in this version of the game. So we have something really cool to look forward to. Okay, didn't think I had enough. Oh, but I guess before doing that, before I forget, we may as well also come down here to check out one of the random minor Erdtree churches. I guess this is arguably one of the least random ones, to be fair. I forgot this thing was here. Ulcerated tree spirit. It's because we're like next to a church, I think. Oof. I tried rolling. Then that was just a panic roll and I got caught. I rolled too soon? Okay. Uh-oh. I'm just gonna YOLO it. Too much YOLO. This one uses a lot more flames, it seems, than the other one so far. Oh, that did like no damage. Come on. There we go. We got our golden seed. Leather mesh tabard. Sweet. I'm on the wrong side of this. Giant Crusher. So this is what Tragoth wields. Morgott can summon it. A hammer made from a boulder used in the War of the Giants. One of the heftiest weapons the entire lands between. After the Giants were quelled and man turned against man in violence, this weapon was all but forgotten. Man has grown feeble in comparison to his forebears. So that's the same, which is perfectly fine. But it's a really cool item nonetheless, because it does talk about like the size of men shrinking as they've essentially progressed in civilization. It's just kind of a nice touch, because that's always been like a question in a lot of the FromSoft games. Like, why is the player character so small? Why is everyone so giant? And people just don't want to hear that, like, oh, it's easier to like actually read and interact with enemy attacks that way. So yeah, coming up to this minor Erdtree church, we have a bunch of the tree guardians. These ones have the blossoms coming out of them. I don't think you can actually loot their items though, which is really frustrating. Because after Leyndell turns to ash, you can't get that item. So this Erdtree church has bothered me quite a bit, because I don't understand why this minor Erdtree in particular has a gold-infused trunk, whereas all the other minor Erdtrees don't look like that. And obviously this isn't quite on the same level as the Erdtree itself, but it is different. And it almost seems like one of the giant little sproutlings that we just kind of get all the golden seeds from. Winged crystal tear, plus a bunch of golden centipedes. Oh yeah, I should check the purifying crystal tier, although I'm pretty sure it doesn't say anything. Temporarily grant special attack against Moog, Lord of Blood, when taken in mixed physic. Okay. Alright, I'm not going to worry about that then. So let's go ahead and use all that stuff. Sounds very Tolkien. Maybe proximity to the Erdtree. Those born at the foot of the Erdtree are blessed. Yeah, you might be right about that. It's just strange because of everything else. And a lot of people point out like that they think the Erdtree itself's golden husk is an illusion because the inside is still like gray. Which might be true to an extent, because in the endings, the Erdtree only glows after you make your choice and like power up the Elden Ring, I guess. So there might be something to that. Flasks, right? Oh, we can talk to Melina now. Oh yeah, spoken echoes linger here.
Spoken echoes linger here. Words of Queen Marika, who vanished long ago. If you wish, I will share them with you.
I don't remember if I talked to her at the Third Church of America. I don't think I did.
In Marika's own words, I declare mine intent to search the depths of the Golden Order through understanding of the proper way. Our faith, our grace is increased. Those blissful early days of blind belief are long past. My comrades, why must ye falter?
So we get the Outer Order gesture, and I think this is one of the more important dialogue options in the game, because this kind of does establish that Marika did work together with Radagon to some degree, because she declared her intent to follow the Golden Order. The final line there of my comrades, why must you falter? That makes me wonder if the Golden Order's way was divesting everyone of their grace, and that could have been why they were like hesitant. But that's, you know, pretty big inference on my part, and not necessarily like what the game is actually saying, so just keep that in mind, that it's speculation. The other part is, by searching the Golden Order through like academics, they seek to increase the strength of their grace. So that just kind of falls in line with how the Golden Order incantations scale, like I've mentioned multiple times, where they're like all dual int and faith based, with a few exceptions which are just like purely int based. So Yeah, okay. That's it with Melina. From here, let's double check the third Church of Marika, because I don't remember if I actually rested there to talk to her. I think I did, but I also did that so long ago that I don't fully remember. Pretty sure I did, but... The seed of doubt lingers. Okay.
Spoken echoes linger here. Words of Queen Marika, who vanished long ago. If you wish, I will share them with you. Very well. In Marika's own words, my lord, and thy warriors, I divest each of thee of thy grace. With thine eyes dimmed, ye will be driven from the lands between. Ye will wage war in a land afar, where ye will live and die. Well, perhaps that might serve you in lieu of a maiden's guidance.
So I guess it's a little fortunate that I didn't talk to Melanie here, because that could potentially tie into just what I was talking about with Marika divesting everyone of their grace, essentially. And I think that could relate potentially to the law of regression, but I don't really know. Those are just some ideas. So I think that's pretty straightforward, though. Alright, now we get to go back to the rampart, finally. Ponyboy said, the Erdtree also has a different hue depending on which mending rune you go with, or none at all if you blow it up with Frenzy. Yeah, and that was something I was probably going to mention when we actually got to the endings. But thanks for bringing that up. Trent says, their interpretation was everyone who was not down with the order may be called to the gold dung item description. So there is another spoken echoes of Marika. That might actually be in the second church now that I think about it. Where Melina asks, or she says that Marika tells people to either join them or just get the hell out of her way, essentially. And that could be related. Get some more seeds. Forgot just how plentiful they were over here. And then this is one of the most important finger reader crone dialogues in my opinion. So I'm just gonna take a second. Ponyboy said, you always thought this was her declaring that faith in the Golden Order wasn't enough anymore, and that she wanted to understand it logically, so her comrades were faltering between two sides. I don't know. One of the issues is, when did the Golden Order fully become established? And by whom? Because the Mending Rune of the Death Prince says that the Golden Order was created upon plucking the Rune of Death from the Elden Ring, which is kind of a big deal. That's a full-on transition in the Order. But that could have essentially been when the Golden Order came into being, whereas it could have been incepted in idea form beforehand. So we don't really know. Rat says, Marika's worse than Gwyn because she can't even genocide an entire race. Cough, dragons cough. Well, neither could Gwyn. To be fair, in the Japanese for the intro, it just says they were defeated, not the, they were... Wait, what did I say in the Japanese? I just remember the English makes it sound like all the dragons died, but the Japanese is a bit more vague on that front. Yeah, and that's kind of where I would agree with Stromboli. That's kind of my interpretation of what Melina is saying. Marika said that blind faith isn't enough. They need to actually understand grace to, further her goals, essentially. She equates losing grace with becoming mortal, which means that the people outside the lands between are mortal, which is part of why you don't think that destined death isn't death. So, the way that I tend to look at destined death now is that it's the full-on concept of death, capital D death. It's not only body death, it's spiritual death, because Ronnie dies in body, obviously, and Godwin dies in spirit. So those are two halves of their lives, I guess. So I think with the Rune of Death being removed from the Elden Ring, it's stopping spiritual death, which is why the demigods and the denizens of the Lands Between have extended life. Alright, so I've mentioned this before in a couple of my videos, but this crone will say the Great Tree, and this uses the same terminology that shows up in Deep Root Depths map's description, as well as like root resins. So here we go.
You, please, I can read them. Your fingers, please, your fingers. The fingers I served once prophesied a tarnished would one day become Elden Lord and restore the Golden Order. Surely you see it too. The gold that enshrouds the heavens. The great tree, which begets the pillars of light. Oh, tarnished, hasten to the foot of the tree. And whatever you might face, the fingers will surely guide you.
I think Astanex was asking if this dialogue was still in the game, and yeah, it is. So, as I've mentioned before, like she calls it the Great Tree, and I don't see how anyone could argue that it's really not that tree that she's talking about. So, the Erdtree is explicitly called a Great Tree, not just by her, but also by the Godric, or the Erdtree. The tree in Beast Surcoat, which is just called the Great Tree in Beast Surcoat in Japanese, and in the retail build of the game, it's an explicit reference to the Golden Tree of Leyndell. And there's one other time with Dee's dialogue saying like, "Let the Erdtree like govern your spirit," essentially. Oh yeah, I forgot there's like a little procession up there. Alright, so this is kind of where the highway into Leyndell ends, which is kind of interesting. Like, it goes straight up to this gate, which doesn't lead to anything on the opposite side. And this is like where all the trolls and everybody were besieging Leyndell in the opening cinematic. So I don't take that part of the cinematic super literally, but there can be the argument that there probably was more to Leyndell before the shattering happened to like knock it all down. And if you guys can recall, when I showed off some of the Nox architecture, we had these like leaves or vines crawling up their doors, and they do make that kind of repeated appearance here in Leyndell. So there is a decent reason to believe that like the Nox could have had a stronger association with Leyndell, not only just because of the architecture stuff, but because like Marika had relations to the Black Knives, and they were all rumored to be Newman or like members of the Empyrean family in this version of the game. So let's pull that back up. What did we pick up? It said that. Nope. Was the pants? Yeah. Waistcloth worn by members of the Empyrean family. So there is a reason to believe that like the Nox and Leyndell could have had stronger ties, and if not been like part of one larger community, especially if like Marika and Godfrey subjugated all of the Lands Between. Alright, now we'll be coming to one of the most important differences in this version of the game. Yeah, the giant hole in the capital could have potentially been like a Nox settlement structure. No dialogue, but we just get attacked by a wild Margit. I rolled too soon. Should remember he actually delays his attacks. So yeah, this is the difference between like fighting him with Hoarfrost Stomp and like at level 13 or whatever it was when I first played the game. Why did the first hit not land? Oh, I almost got. Oh, funny. All right, here we go. Here we go. Marika's Scar Seal, y'all. Marika's Scar Seal. Oh, I had all this room for an extra talisman that I forgot about. Anyway, Marika's Scar Seal raises mind, intelligence, faith, and arcane, but also increases damage taken. These seals represent the lifelong duty of those chosen by the gods. Said to be the seal of Queen Marika, kind of reminiscent of the way she's like crucified. So yeah, wanted to show that off because that's different. I can't remember what he actually drops in retail. Thought it wasn't that important. So I did like that this version of the game, like, he seemed way more important. And gave him like a closer tie to Marika. Stamina talisman. Okay, I thought it was something like that, but I couldn't quite remember. Thank you, Boris. If an eternal city was not in the capital itself, why that hole in Leyndell? I mean, it could be an artifact of the Shattering. Like, I'm not against the idea that the Nox settlement is underneath Leyndell. Or, like, it was part of Leyndell. But I'm also not willing to just, like, completely close off other ideas. Alright. So, I did mention this before, but, like, the battlefield here, it has, like, these kind of golem grade arrows, which isn't that important. But within these, like, ruins, or not ruins, remains, there are going to be a bunch of, like, Banished Knight armor sets, which are kind of hard to tell. They don't really look like Banished Knight armor sets, like the ones that we see in-game. But if you look super closely and compare them, they do kind of match. They're just not, like, a perfect one-to-one match. So, there was a war of Banished Knights outside Leyndell. Whether that was a Shattering War is debatable. We do know that some Banished Knights followed Morgott because of Oleg's Spirit Ashes, saying that they followed the Grace-given Lord, which is Morgott. So that kind of makes sense. However, what does not make sense is if they were followers of Morgott, why they would be marching on Leyndell. It could be possible that more Banished Knights followed the other demigods rather than only Morgott. His cloak is an amazing get for your Punch Boy. Thou art of passing skill. Thank you. Alright. So the other part of coming through Altus Plateau that I really like is this next little graveyard section. Because if you guys can remember, in Castle Morn, we have just one of these gigantic graves that has like the big old hole in it. I think Teensith or somebody else in chat the other day said that some of the bigger tombstones may have had the holes in them, so that way they didn't get knocked over by the wind, which I think is a cool idea. So maybe that's an even stronger tie to like a Stormlord type of period, I guess. I don't really know what to make of that idea. Just kind of came to me now. But Throughout this gigantic graveyard, right outside the home of the Erdtree, we do have a bunch of corpses and skeletons who live in death. As you guys can see, sometimes they can jump in the air and use like ghost flame breath. It's really interesting. Actually, I don't think it freezes, although I might be wrong about that. And if you look at the back of these dudes' cloaks, you have like a symbol of a sun. Okay, so that doesn't deal cold damage, though it's just like those who live in death breath, I guess. So not exactly ghost flame. Yeah, so it'll be easier to show off during the day. Not only does that dude have like a faded sun crest on his back, he's also wielding the Sun Realm shield, which is kind of hard to see. Oh, well, it'll be morning now. So the Sun Realm shield can be found on pretty much all those who live in death throughout the Lands Between. However, one very odd exception to that is the Beast, those who live in death within Fair Missoula. And because the Beast can carry the Sun Realm shield, it does make me wonder if there is a connection between Fair Missoula and the Sun Realm, essentially. Especially since there is no like official night in Fair Missoula. The sun will always stay out in that area. Even if you set it to like night or like late night, nothing changes. And it's because of this kind of thing, it does make me wonder about the timeline of when Fair Missoula was in the Lands Between, when people first showed up, and people's relationship to demi-humans and beasts. So it doesn't seem like people would have evolved from beasts kind of like they did. Well, not that like people really evolved from beasts, but people didn't necessarily evolve from animals like they did in real life.
Is someone there? A customer? Well, how long has it been?
Yeah, and so that's why when Sinister Stromboli said Ranker Call spells are the cinders of Ghost Flame, that's why I say those are curses. Like, the bodies get charred up, and the curses are the cinders. That's how I look at it. I know that's not what you're talking about, like, just right there, but that's just one thing I wanted to reiterate. So we get the Sentry's Torch. Torch given to protectors of the Erdtree. Its flames are bestowed with a special incantation which allows the bearer to see assassins cloaked in veils. Furnished on behalf of the Erdtree and the grace-given Lord, such that a Knight of the Black Knives will never come again. So this is just kind of another reference to Morgott being the grace-given Lord, because once the Knight of the Black Knives happened, he was like, oh, hell no. So he didn't want another Knight of the Black Knives, because he's kind of the Lord of Lanedell, so that's how he commissioned these things to be created. Oh yeah, what other stuff? He has unlimited golden great arrows. Okay. I don't know if he just knew how to make these as much as like he probably commissioned them. What am I doing? I guess I could memorize more spells, but I'm a bit of a Blundstone, let's be honest. I don't even have a seal equipped, so I probably shouldn't worry about that. That's not really going to help me at all. Or that. What was I doing? I was going to go see if we can summon Millicent yet. I'm pretty sure we can't. Showed those off. There's like one other thing that I was just thinking about doing. Like something I didn't want to forget about. But anyway. we'll leave that aside for now and show off another cool little area over here. Oh yeah, and we got some like sky burials, I guess, with the corpses being strung up, which you can also find in Farum Azula, now that I think about it, because there's some beastmen hanging from trees. So another odd relation. Trying not to get sniped by these golems, though. Why would Morgott be called the Grace-Given Lord? Wasn't his whole thing that he couldn't receive grace as an omen, but protected the tree nonetheless? So he was given grace by somebody or something. That's why he's the Grace-Given, because the omen typically don't have grace. Alright, so these things over here are super cool. Damn it. Because this is the only omen in the game which can do this. It will use Fia's Death Mist. Not Fia's, but like Godwin's, whatever it's called. Oh, I guess it is Fia's Death Mist, isn't it? But so do these black-clad commoners, and these are the only black-clad commoners in the game. They have the centipede symbol. And they are like a little bit tan, just like the Fia one. So let's try to get him to show that off again. Yeah, I'm probably going to struggle to actually get him to like pull out the sigil. But hopefully you guys can see it. I'll show it off one more time if possible. I forget, like, pulling out the binoculars makes you roll forward. That's probably bad. But it isn't just, like, pure white like the X's are. So, these dudes are unique. They respawn and everything, but I haven't seen them anywhere else in the game. So they're probably just like followers of Godwin, maybe? And Orphea. Twiggy Crack tier. And a Crimson Crystal tier. Ponyboy always made the assumption that the Grace-Given Lord was Godwin, and the torch is speaking of Godwin posthumously. I can understand why he did that. There's another one that makes it clearer that Morgott's the Grace-Given. I don't remember exactly what it is off the top of my head. What was the Seed of the Moon? I don't know. I don't know that there has to be one, but it's not like it's talks about in the game. What's interesting is that Morgott could imply that they could have given the Omen grace all along. Yeah, it's really weird. The thing is, like, when we do meet Godfrey Lu, he does seem to, like, absorb what would have been Morgott's grace there. So maybe Morgott was given Godfrey's grace. I don't know if that's actually true, but I mean, I see it as a possibility here. What are they shooting? Oh yeah, the little dudes that like walk through. Alright, so it does not look like we can summon Millicent yet. And there is no like Tragoth thing either. Or is this Lionel? Either way. So we're just gonna head on down, get another side of grace. Or two. There's no grace down there. For some reason I thought there was by Blackguard, but that's not the case. Oh yeah, for some reason, after Ashen Lane Delve, this thing goes away. I don't know why. I'm pretty sure that's the case. So we have a catacomb over here. This is the one where we'll get the golden epitaph from. I wasn't thinking about coming down here, but all these catacomb places have like a headless corpse at the top, or a headless body rather, holding a corpse that are oriented towards the Erdtree, like no matter where they are. So I'll just open this up, grab the site, and then just come back out. Boop. Erdtree thing on the top, potentially. It's amazing the Golden Order is able to absorb practices that once contravened it. Oh, like the Moonlight Plateau, the Moonlight Altar. Yeah, you could potentially argue that that would be like the seat of the moon. But I don't think that's kind of the same as the Sun Realm Shield. Because there's like implied to be a kingdom to go along with that. I guess it's not implied, it's just explicitly stated. Okay, Gideon calls Morgott the Grace Given. Thank you. The best source in the game? Okay. Ponyboy assumes that Grace was withheld from Omen because they didn't want to integrate Omen into the Erdtree, since they were trying to basically remove the Crucible stuff from the Erdtree. Yeah. And I think that's a valid reading of things as well. Like, the thing that bothers me about that is you would assume that the Omen would have been born with Grace during the time of the Crucible, or like the first Erdtree time. But that doesn't actually seem to be the case, since like Morgott and Moog weren't born with Grace. Okay, so that's the Rune Bear I need to like chase to the thing. I might get got. I got. Oh, okay, sweet. I was afraid I'd have to like ride the elevator back up again and everything, and I was gonna be slightly annoyed. You'll die on the Gideon being the best source of information hill. Just like I'll die on my Placidus Axe hill. If Grace was even a thing back then, you always assumed Grace was a function of Marika operating with the special greater will magic. Well, if we consider like the Erdtree favor talisman about Marika bestowing Grace personally, that would have happened originally in like the time of Godfrey. Although I guess that's a bit maybe of more of an inference on my part than anything like explicitly stated. But I'm pretty sure like the sap of the Erdtree is like linked to that. I ain't scared of no ghost. Alright, that one's kind of a tanky ghost. I'm gonna be a ghost. I need to roll in. What am I doing? It's a big boy. All FromSoft big boys play the same. There we go. That's right. Play the game like it's meant to be played sometimes. Swink Scoob. Large golden smithing stone. So not exactly worth it. I mean, we did get 2. That might be enough for me to like upgrade my weapon sometimes. I tend to forget what's in this catacomb. Night Scout, welcome in. He said, Morgott's blood flame powers seem to imply that the Formless Mother has something innately to do with the Omen, so perhaps they don't have grace because a different outer god is stepping in. I could see that. I don't know. I didn't really think about the Formless Mother's connection to the Crucible specifically, because that's another interesting thing to consider. Like, I know people have brought it up. I just didn't really put my mind down that rabbit hole so strongly just yet. I guess we should go to the Shaded Castle. Okay. I forgot to get that side of grace. That's my fault. So that way we could do the Millicent stuff. Oh, I remembered what it was that I thought about and didn't remember. Might be going too high. No, okay, we're good. Yeah, so the Formless Mother and the Omen, there is probably a connection because, like, the Moog thing. I'm not going to deny that. Because Morgott does have Blood Flame to a certain degree. It's just kind of weird to think about that because of Marika and the connection to the Two Fingers with Godfrey as opposed to everything else. So I did want to show off. Okay, I'm not in the right section. This weird little dilapidated church over here, or like the ruins, because of this guy over here. Like the one troll from the nobleman that I showed off in Caelid by the Dragon Communion Church, this guy over here will transform into like one of the scary lions. And it'll drop its silver tier after it dies as well. That was really fast. I didn't even like have enough time to dodge. Could have just rhythmed it. That should have finished it. Oh, why didn't I roll back up? Okay. Okay, another larval tier. Sweet. Perhaps an omen is a cursed misbegotten. I don't know about... Well, yeah, they are kind of cursed because of their horns. And that was something I meant to bring up and kind of forgot in relation to the Fia's Death Mist one. The omen... The ones without horns don't use any of their cursed attacks. The ones with moderate amount of horns can summon some of the ghosts in their attacks. And then the ones that are like super covered in the horns, like the regal ones, they can actually like shoot the cursed projectiles and stuff. So the amount of cursed attacks an omen uses rises in proportion to the amount of horns that they have, which kind of also ties into like the regal omen bairn or consumable, where it like wishes to not be cursed because its horns haven't been excised. And that's kind of what Dung Eater uses to keep the spirits anchored to their bodies when he like curses them. He implants the omen horns into people so they can't escape the curse with their spirits, I guess. Which is kind of crazy. Which is also part of why I believe that like there's a difference between a curse and emotions and like the spirit. Because Dung Eater is able to like hijack the current system to keep people's spirits like from passing into the Erdtree. I should have remembered to talk about that when we were talking about that stuff earlier. Okay. You can backstab the bears like the pigs in Bloodborne. So you need to do a full-on like charged R2, and that would like break them. Is that different from like a power stance thing, or not power stance, but like a stance break thing? You're not sure that the Formless Mother is for all the shunned. Moog may have been drawn to her as he hates the Golden Order. The Omen are cursed to see nightmares and evil spirits. Stromboli says, Roderica says that she senses a new order around Dungeater, and you think that's the Order of the Omen since he wears Omen armor. The Misbegotten don't have missing digits, horns that impale their own bodies. The Omen have less animal variety and just more pain. Yeah, they can also like breathe fire when they have enough horns, which is kind of cool. It makes me wonder if they're like implicitly related to dragons, but I think that's kind of doubtful. Oh man, you guys are popping off. Okay. Clownscum asks, the lions carry parts of the Omen curse too, right? Why they have horns and stuff? I don't know if it's a curse so much as like they're a more primitive form of life, or they were given more primitive forms of life. Kind of like the Misbegotten, perhaps? Or maybe even the Omen. Where's this Site of Grace? I know that's there. I'm pretty sure it's not in the building. Is it further this way? No, this is where the dragon shows up. That is like further up here. Okay, we get our Chloranthy tile design, which appears in Dark Souls 3 and like Archdragon Peak. And in Lothar Castle before Osiris's boss room. Maybe it is by the church then. Well, there's obviously the catacomb there. You always thought they were crucible horns, but they do look like omen horns, don't they? Yeah. So this sword probably won't have anything either. Hey, Celestial do. Oh, fudge. You got me in the reading chat. I'm just trying to find a Site of Grace, so like if I die over here, I don't have to make that huge run back. So I'm pretty sure there's not one in here. Dragonbolt's Blessing? So I like this church because it doesn't make any sense because it has another depiction of Radigan in the Stormcaller church. Oh yeah, and we have Gravelstone on the floor, which in this version of the game is Compound Stone. Right. Let me zoom in on this and then catch up with you guys a little bit. You think all the Tarnished are able of producing a mending rune and Gideon seeks knowledge to mend his own? Is that too far-fetched? I don't know, because I feel like Gideon would have made his own rune. Or had someone make his own rune for him. Stromboli says, you think that Celestial Dew is probably there to represent the way Godwyn and Fortisax forgave each other and became friends? I like that idea. It's at the Catacombs? I know there's like another Grace up here, at least in retail. Alright, I'll go to the Catacombs. That sucks. A small clump of sharp, pointed pebbles. They are said to have spilled from the bodies of ancient dragons. Material used for crafting items. And... oh yeah. Nope. Electrification raises defense and status resistance. That's funny. Creates beast claws that tear apart the earth. This is disc 1.0, so it's not even like the day one patch. Because I think the day one patch would be like 1.01 or something like that. Although I don't remember what they actually like numbered it. We also get like a bunch of lightning rams up here, which are kind of funny. What is that? Oh, a black knife assassin. I forgot that thing was there. Oh, Lord. I should have remembered it was going to stab me, too. Remember all me worrying about, like, trying to find the side of Grace? Oh, no, there's one, like, down the cliffside before coming up all the way. I kind of remember now. Why did I need to die to remember, though? Feels bad, man. Yeah, because it was all like hunched over. I'm like, what is that? I should have remembered. Four-toed fowlfoot. It's cool to see how vicious they are. Yeah. It also didn't help that I like had my HUD off, so I like didn't roll away and sip some juice. This stupid side of Grace forgot about. Because I think everything else is just reliant on Stakes of Marika. Although there are less Stakes of Marika in this version of the game in general. Like if you die at Gideon, boy do you have a lock of shame trying to get back. It's not as bad as like Dark Souls 2 by any means. But for Elden Ring it feels especially bad because of the lack of those in general. The runbacks. You made me look like a punk. This thing doesn't bleed, but it's still pretty staggerable. I couldn't see what it's doing. Trees. Trees, please. I was hoping it was gonna like jump in. Yeah, I wasn't gonna say who, but yeah, that run back is the worst. And the funny thing is, like the Elan run back really wouldn't be bad if there was. Oh, I forgot you get the black knife from that one. Or maybe that's just different. Because I know there is no black knife assassin corpse in Ordina in this version of the game. So that's really cool. Dagger once belonging to one of the assassins who murdered Godwin the Golden on the Night of the Black Knives. A ritual performed on the oddly misshapen blade imbued it with the power of the stolen rune of death. So that's pretty much the same. I don't remember what's in Sainted Hero's grave. How many stone sword things do I have? I know there's like a bunch of basilisks here. No, or is that Ariza? Wait, Sainted Heroes is Golden Epitaph. Then what's Ariza? I don't remember. I've only got 3. But I'm not really saving them for a specific thing, I don't think. Shadow bathes in light and knows weakness. Oh yeah, we picked up one of those notes a long time ago. Tomb Shades. Scrap of knowledge written by a grave robber regarding the Tomb Shades. Saren, the grave robbing lord, left behind knowledge of the Tomb Shades. Diving beneath the graves makes for fine sport, but beware of the Tomb Shades, don't let them touch you. If you can lure them and shower them with light, you may just make it. Free to go about your work in any way you please. I bet you all find tidings in the tombs. So he talks about Rosis's light specifically in the updated version of this note. Oh, why didn't I ever just look at the stupid riddle thing to find the last one? I'm an idiot. Okay. Not worried about that anymore. Gideon was trying to prevent anyone from becoming Elden Lord, including himself, hence the boss fight. He either got a message from Radagon and mistook it for Marika, or he's working with Radagon to keep the war status quo for a long time. Well, it's weird because Marika, at the very least, did want people to come back. Oh, I needed to get rid of the stupid prompt. I don't remember this just being a Revenant. Crimson Seed Talisman. A crimson-colored talisman patterned after an Erdtree seed. Boosts HP restoration from the flask of Crimson Tears. The Erdtree was once perfect and eternal, and thus was it believed that Erdtree seeds could not exist. So I really like this item description. I think this is supposed to be more indicative of the time of Godfrey's Erdtree, although maybe it does apply to the Golden Order's Erdtree, and it was only after like Ronnie screwed things up that belief was shattered. But it just seems to fall more along with the other Amber ones to me. All right, Katie, you take care for the night. Oh, I guess it has been 3 hours. All right, I will get us to Shaded Castle and then probably call it there for the night because that'll be a good spot to pick up to get Millicent's prosthesis and begin the stream there tomorrow. Poor Spectre being consumed by the lore. Interesting how the Golden Order thinks the Erdtree having kids makes it not perfect and eternal, yet they hypocritically call America the Eternal despite having so many kids. Exactly. It's a good way to say it. I don't think there's a boost up there. But I guess it's really not worse than the Ordina one. Or not Ordina, Dominula one. It's also saying that things that are eternal aren't expected to produce new things, hence stagnation. Yeah, and that's another good observation there. That, like, reaching maturity is kind of it in the Lands Between. You're not supposed to, like, reproduce. But I do wonder if that's supposed to tie into, like, the idea behind how the Glintstone Firefly in the English version of the retail build of the game says that it's already mated and that's why it's glintstone. Aw, man, I was afraid of this. No, Spirit Spring. So it does bother me that the description differs so much between the English and the Japanese. I would love to take the English one as like my headcanon. However, even if I did do that, one issue that arises is I'm still not sure whether like the glintstone firefly used to be a gold firefly or a silver one. It could be both, who knows? I mean, not like literally, but just in general, like either gold or silver ones can become glintstone fireflies, perhaps? The retail says the glintstone prevents the firefly from feasibly having kids. So what I mean by that is, if the fireflies are eternal, kind of like everything else in the Golden Order, then having kids affects its ability to stay eternal, and it becomes something different. Like it's no longer itself once it has kids, which might be meant to tie into Marika, I guess. I don't know. Marika and Melina specifically. I don't know why I dismounted. I could have just attacked from the mounted position. Great stars. It's always satisfying to get the multi-kill off that way. I almost got stabbed. Okay. Gonna run away from these things. Go on towards the shaded castle. And read the great stars. I do kind of want to go in those ruins, but I'll leave that be for now. And probably forget about it. There's no spirit spring down there, I'm pretty confident. Yeah, okay. Maybe because crystallizing it made it eternal or preserved it in some way? Well, the thing is, it's already mated, so it'd be more like mating is what made it eternalized than by that idea. Which, I mean, it's still possible. I just don't think that's what it's trying to get at. Marika's children seem to fulfill roles. I needed to come from the other way. No, there's a drop somewhere. Not here. It's further on this way. I kind of remember now. Ice is described as a crystal in some item. It is technically a rock. Chemical state-wise, it's a rock. You think the first sorcerers could have used ice instead of glintstone? I'm of the opinion that they probably would have been using fire because of the Sword of Night and Flame, specifically. Wait. I could have just come over here the entire time. I need to head further east. Okay, let's do it. This is the spot that I was looking for. Night Scout wonders if the Golden Order was bitter over the Erdtree seeds because it meant more places in the land would have the full Erdtrees one day, so the Golden Order would have equals. That's an interesting thought for it as well. I do want to go through here one time. I'm not going to do that now. I'm just going to get the Grace unlocked because I will need the bell bearing here, I'm pretty sure. Hey, wouldn't you know it, we can jump off to the side in a mine. Who'd thunk it? Ice dragons are super old. Not the same thing as the ice sorcery, but yeah. They started to downplay the Erdtree to act as if the Golden Order would still be more special no matter what. So the thing is, the Erdtree seeds technically flew out of the Erdtree after the Shattering. So they may not have had like the actual minor Erdtrees for most of the timeline. Alright, Spoonbender, you take care, man. And thanks for stopping by. Was the Glowmite Queen defeated before Marika had children or not? So the issue is, if the Golden Order happened when the Rune of Death was plucked from the Elden Ring and Radagon is the progenitor of the Golden Order, then you could make the argument that it could have happened before he met Renala. You could make the argument that it happened after he met Renala. But either way, that still leaves a lot of room available for Marika and Godfrey to have been together. And that's kind of the most likely thing, because Godfrey's reign would have essentially ended once the Golden Order came into being, is kind of how I feel about it. Alright, let me rest and I'll level up. Alright, Sinister Stromboli, you take care. I'm about to end the stream here as well. Some seeds flew out after the Shattering. The minor Erdtree church where Melina recites Marika's creating the Golden Order fundamentalism implies at least 3 Erdtree seeds existed pre-war. The Golden Order predates the fundamentalists. Melina quotes Marika as referring to the Order already existing when she founds fundamentalism. So it is possible that, like, the way Marika is talking is because Radagon has already studied it. And it is possible that they do have a more split personality where they don't fully share, like, the mind or their views, especially with the way she talks about, or talks to Radagon in the Erdtree Sanctuary spoken echoes. But okay, everybody, thank you very much for stopping in, chatting, lurking. I appreciate it as always. We will be going live again tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope you'll join me, and if not, take care, and hopefully we'll catch you on the next one. Alrighty. Take care. Last Protagonist out.